you know the season is quickly approaching because it's that time of the year. We're doing our top 50 players. Right now, countdown shows. Our first 10 unveiled the other night. Here's how they played out. 50, Carey Price making the cut here, all the way up to number 41, John Tavares. So a little different this year, though, as far as our formula. In years past, it was producers and researchers. And you know what? They wanted to pass along some of the blame or the responsibility.
Primarily
the firepower and debate on Twitter. So here's the new formula. It's pretty much the same, but we've included some hosts and analysts as well with that group. You make your own list, and then to account for players not on all the ballots, you use the following formula right there. The averages come out, and we come out with our top 50, and we count them down over the course of 5 separate weeks here on the NHL Network. So based on the first 10 names that we've unveiled, anything up for debate with you?
Well, I mean, I think it's noteworthy that Carey Price just squeezed down the board. And yes. Carey Price, who has always been considered one of the best goalies, and a couple best goalies in the world, just got to the Stanley Cup final, and he still had tumbled down to just making it on. I think that is interesting because you would have thought maybe just the playoff performance might have vaulted him back up to that lofty standard.
Where he looked like one of the top 3 guys in the world.
And he hasn't been that, and I think that's I'm happy that he kind of is probably where he should be.
Yeah.
Where'd you have him on your list? Where'd you have him on your list, Carey Price?
I don't think he was on my list. I don't think he was.
Well, let me ask you this. What's your definition, both of you, of right now? Because that plays a huge role in this.
Right now means heading into this year.
Yeah.
Like who I expect to be good this year, not based on their play last year. Instead, going into this season, who's going to be...
They're hard lists to create because everybody knows that we believe that
here we go.
Here's going to be delayed.
Here's my top.
Is this the right list?
No, it's just my list. So there you go. I got Grubauer out of him because I think in the last couple of years, Grubauer's played better than Carey Price.
Yep.
And I guess Grubauer was my last goaltender picked in my top 50. I had the former captain of the Canadiens, Max Pacioretty, just squeak on the goal-scoring machine. So, you know, there is no right or wrong answer. It's depending how you value players and their performance and who they are, but...
Right.
That one stood out to me, just the fact that it's such a big name, just getting on the list.
I did not submit a list, but I don't think I was
just
asked.
I
might not have had a contract then. I'm not sure. No, I might not have had a contract.
It's just smart. You're avoiding all the crossfire on Twitter. I like that.
But the one thing that really jumped out at me when I saw the original list was, and I'm curious to ask you this question, where did you have Seth Jones?
I'm going to have to wait for them to fall out.
But for sure in your list.
I don't know if he was on my list.
Really?
I don't know.
I took exception to him at 43. I would have him ranked much higher.
Yeah, and we talk. This is right. He's
just how it goes.
Yeah. He's a almost a polarizing guy. Acknowledged to be very, very good.
Yes.
Some people think he is great and a top 5 defenseman in the league.
Yep.
And I think there's a school of thought. It's like he's good, but he has some flaws. Maybe he's more a 15 to 20 kind of defenseman.
Yep.
And doesn't seem like a lot, but that is a pretty wide range when you're considering goal. He's getting paid like he's a top 5 guy. He's being treated by Chicago and acquiring him like he's a top 5 guy. I think, you know, I like to study the numbers. Like, I know a lot of the analytical models don't love his game. I think there's some holes in those models, and I think he's better than those show. But there are, to be on this list as a defenseman, I think it's got to be really good at both ends.
All right, so you won't tell us, but you're saying there's a chance he wasn't in your top 50?
I mean, I don't have it memorized.
I don't think you're being coy or
I don't
cryptic
have it
about
it. But I don't think I had him.
We'll have to check that. But he for sure, I'm closer to Chicago in that he's an elite defenseman in this league.
Yeah.
And I know Seth a little bit. I believe in this guy. I think his best hockey is in front of him, which is a little bit unusual as he approaches the age he is. Mm-hmm. But I just think circumstances and a different style of play might really benefit him. I agree with you. Holes in some of the models.
He's going to have to be good. Given the pressure on him in Chicago, how bad they have been defensively the last several years, and the lack of support group around him, he is going to have to be the lead guy, play 30 minutes, and make everyone else around him better. And that doesn't just mean when he has the puck, because he's awesome with the puck.
Right.
But it's more when he doesn't have it, and they don't have it, because they're not great at defending, and they haven't been for a few years. Can he? And if he does, then he'll be on my list next year.
All right. I know somebody who is on your list, Alex DeBrincat. We just saw it, 42. Let's pull up the list, the top 10 that we just did for NHL Network. And how do you compare Alex DeBrincat? What do you want to see from him? He's obviously in your top 50. High praise. Where do you think the ceiling is for this guy?
Well, this is the one we just put out there, and DeBrincat on there at 49. I don't think I want to see anything else from him lots. I think Alex DeBrincat is what he is, an elite-level goal scorer, point producer, offensive dynamo. And when you do it at the level he does, you don't have to be great defensively. You don't have to be physical and killing penalties. You don't have to be on the ice at the end of games, because when you score 40 goals a year and get 80 points, That's enough. I think to make him rise up even more to like into the 20s, into the teens, he probably would have to do it more without Patrick Kane. Now, he's lucky he gets Patrick Kane to play with, but I think a lot of his success is derived from Patrick Kane being one of the best playmakers in the world. I think he's an excellent player, but I think this probably is his ceiling, and it's a really high ceiling. He's a very good player.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a great pick by the Chicago Blackhawks, a guy that at that time they were able to exploit the fact that he was a smaller player. And people questioned whether or not he could score goals at the National Hockey League level. 32 last year.
He can.
In just 52 games. I think he's answered the bell on that. He's never going to be a physical force out there, but it doesn't matter if you can score goals. You know that.
Paved the way for a guy like Cole Caulfield, right?
Exactly. Yep. Cole Caulfield has come in and very seamlessly done quite a bit to rise his star in this league very quickly. And literally, there were people that were questioning why the Canadians even signed him at the end of the year, to other people saying, well, yeah, they could just play him in the minors and that'll be fine. They'll bring him along slow, and then bang. All of a sudden, he was a key piece for them making it to the finals.
I always think it's funny, these lists come out like, how could he be only 49? There's 32 teams.
Right. Exactly.
He's the best player or best one or two players on every team in the league.
Yeah.
Well, there would have only
and 49 to 42 is not a big discrepancy.
It's a massive compliment and appreciation of their game that they're even on this list. So I get you're always going to debate which one could be a little bit higher or lower, but the fact that they're on the list at all tells you that they're pretty highly thought of.
How do you weight? Is it like a center higher than a goalie for you? Is
it's
center higher than a top defenseman?
Well,
hard,
for me, I think like how many goaltenders probably belong on the list, and then if it comes to 3 or 4 or 5, and then I intersperse them throughout. Centermen always get the benefit over wingers. Forwards probably get a bit of a benefit over defensemen, which is strange given how few good defensemen there are out there. But that's kind of how I break it down. And you'll see probably a slant to forwards when we get down to the top 10.
Yeah, you can look through the National Hockey League and kind of determine how general managers believe they should build their team. A lot of people, probably the biggest portion of GMs would say, I need strength down the middle. That's what I need. That's how I'm going to build my team. Other people will say, I need a great goaltender. Okay, Marty Brodeur kind of fits that. Geez, I get a guy like that, I could win 3 cups. For me, I've always said, as a forward, so this makes no sense, but this comes from playing on good teams and bad teams in the league. Things always went best when we had a strong D. Right. And I always believe that you build your team from the blue line in both directions. That is the origins of why Victor Hedman is on Tampa. That philosophy overrode some other people in the organization. Right. That's the rights that you get if you're the general manager to make that call. So when I add it all up, I always give D a little bit more credit. It has to do partially with the amount of time they can be on the ice. We know that's factual. Yep. Your D are going to play more than your best forwards. And if they're really elite D, they're going to control the game.
But whoever's the best defenseman in the world, Victor Hedman, that's to be number 1 on your list right now.
Yes.
Who knows? I don't think anyone would have him over Connor McDavid.
No.
But you just said you like defensemen over forwards. Right. And yet,
I guess building a list versus building a team, very different out there,
this
right?
is true.
All right, I don't want to see at Brian Lawton on Twitter chirping or criticizing any of our lists. You didn't make one yourself.
You guys.
All right.